Ooh. Well, hello everybody. Hope you're having a good day. Isn't life just interesting? I wanted to talk today about something that, well, I've created over the last year and a bit, which is something I call the WIND method, which essentially talks about your patient and how you see them as a whole and or the individual in front of you. Now, police service, you might be wondering why I tagged you in this video. Well, here's the reason. Because whether you like it or not, every single person that you have in front of you, and this is more so for your benefit of maybe just thinking outside the box, because this is mainly for therapists, but I thought, you know what, I'll tag the police because the officers that, you know, want to not only make themselves safer would take this into consideration. I want you to remember that each and every single individual that you come in contact with as a police officer is a trauma victim, which is exactly why they are in front of you. If they weren't a trauma victim, they would be in front of you. Would they? But now I want to look at this to show what is the right thing and what is the wrong thing to do. This is the wrong thing. Let's go over this for a minute. This is a clinic in downtown Toronto. May be difficult and painful at times, and that I might feel distressed. Whoa, holy shit. That shouldn't be in here. Will not offer advice or solutions to problems, but rather assist you come to the best decisions. Well, in my experience, well, they've been forcing things, actually. It's quite nasty, actually. Treatment. Withdraw from treatment. What do you mean treatment? Your psychology place. You just said that you're not going to offer advice, solutions, or problems, and now you're saying it's treatment. A treatment indicates that you have already made up your mind. This is what this person needs to fix them. Now I'm going to provide it. So, first of all, I've done my due diligence and I have dropped this off at the clinic over 3 years, actually, and emailed you almost every fucking day about this. But no. So, this is now for the benefit of every therapist and everything. I'm going to break it out. I call it the WIND method, which stands for, let's see here. It's not really a great angle, but that's fine. You'll get the gist of it. Once. That pen isn't going to do. Once. Is this the patient's wants or is it your wants? Oh. Patient's desirable outcome. Are you asking them what they want when you come in? Or are you just giving them what they want or what you think they want? Here's the question. Are you actually asking your patient, how can I help you today? What is your desired outcome? What, out of working with me as a therapist, what can I give you to help you get where you need to go? It's a question, not an answer. Indications. As a clinician who is typically, if they don't make their own certifying boards, as a Christian counselor who has had maybe 3 courses on psychology and a Bachelor of Theology degree, right? Who, has a lot more experience, because if you didn't know this, psychologists are actually doctors. They missed 4 courses, which then would actually make them a full-out psychiatrist able to prescribe. Let me write that down. Four courses short, aka 1 semester short of becoming a full-out prescribing physician. They complete 7 years of school and focus specifically on psychology and the mental health. That's why you didn't get accredited ex-Christian college individuals with the ability to become a psychologist, because of that. Okay? The fact that they are actually doctors who did the same amount of school minus 4 courses as a regular prescribing physician as a psychiatrist. So if you're a Christian psychologist, I want you to get out of the fucking way and go back to school if you want to do psychology. Indications. Well, this is where you get to go, okay, I've done my first intake. I've done my first meeting with my patient. Now, I'm going to give my clinical indications and observations. Right? As a professional, that's what you have to do. Right? Okay, good. Well, now, what are their needs? Well, if you're a good therapist, 1 + 2 should equal 3. Their needs. Right? But you should always ask them, what do you need? What do you need from me as a psychologist, as a mental health practitioner? What do you need from me to be successful? Or what do you need out of life? How many questions are you asking? Or are you saying, I know what you need? Because you know everything in the world. You are the smartest individual that has ever walked the earth. Your patient is stupid. They're sitting in front of you, and you're going, I'm going to help you. I know what you need, how you need it, and it's not going to be any other way. Oh, snap. Hold the phone. Jesus, hold the phone. Because that's what you're doing. And it's the trap. It's called the expert trap, actually. If you're a psychologist, or if you are somebody who has worked with the behavioral model of change before, as well as you have worked with motivational interviewing, you will know exactly what I am speaking about. To give you some background, Do you know how many psychologists and rather how many doctors actually quit being a doctor and they go into personal training? Do you know why? Because of this. Because of professionals falling into the expert trap. The expert trap, as in there is no such thing as an expert, in my opinion. It should be called a experienced subject matter advisor, if anything. We should never have anything ever called an expert, even myself. I'm just an experienced subject matter advisor. I was most recently a personal trainer and fascial stretch therapist for about 7 or 8 years, actually. I have had the privilege of working with many, 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 many smart individuals throughout my career. Some of which, well, let me give you one quote that really changed my life. I had just started at Good Life, and it was in Calgary, and I was working with Steph Lockmuller, fantastic individual. She owns Sacral Edge in Calgary, and she is a osteopathic doctor as well, or on her way to becoming one right now. And we were in the staff room one day, and she was one of the most successful trainers there, actually, full schedule every day. And she told me one day, she said, AJ, I can't listen to you bitch anymore. And she tore a strip into me and she said, stop being so negative. I want you to focus on the one thing in your day that went good and focus on that instead of everything that went wrong. I want you to find that one thing. Focus on that. Why? Because when you focus on shit, shit grows. When you focus on you, you grow. That reaming out in the staff locker room that day, and I'm thinking there's a couple trainers that heard that. There definitely was. There was like 2 or 3. And that was the most helpful and honest that anyone had ever been with me. And it gave me what I needed to succeed, actually. And to start focusing on what we call the external versus the internal locus of control, right? So what can I change today? Well, I can change my attitude. I can change where I throw my energy. I can say, okay, this isn't working. But hey, guess what? This is working. Or you know what? Someone keeps shitting on me, but I'm going to keep learning. I'm going to keep growing. I'm going to do all of this over here. Well, they just keep going, no. I'm just going to go this way, and I'm going to grow massive. And they're going to grow even smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Now apply that to your problems, right? It's no different than this. Your job as a therapist, your job as a mental health professional is this and what I just told you. What Steph did, quite literally. That is your job as a mental health professional. And as Anna Quach likes to say it, who's a master's candidate, actually, she finished her master's, I lied. And I had the privilege of working with her at Body and Soul Fitness here in Toronto. She now has her master's in kinesiology. I now have my doctorate, which is kind of really cool. Actually 3 and a medical doctorate, but that's besides the point. It just shows that when someone keeps pushing you down, you can arrive on the other side. It's what you choose to do with it. So now, how do we do that with patients? How do we do that? Because no matter how you look at it, even somebody with bipolar, even somebody with all of these conditions, not only does it link back to psychological issues, but then it also boils down to further, but we'll get to there. So from 1 and 2, what their wants are, what their indications are, if you ask them then what their needs are, when you get to step 3, the needs, as a professional, this is your check and balance. Does that make sense? Because if you go back through your notes on the patient, right? And if you look back you should be able to go, okay, my clinical indications and their wants that they gave me equals their needs and what I would inference them to be. That makes sense? I'll post a video of this, or I'll post a screenshot. Now, if we're looking at the fourth one, because somebody is going, well, this is just redundant as hell. No, it's not. And if you say that, you should probably quit. Your fourth one, your desires. This one, I think, is the most applicable to the police force. Because this is where all the hurt is. All the pain, broken homes, why? Who can tell me? Well, if you said because parents place their desires, unmet dreams, ambitions, religious views, shortcomings onto their children, well, yeah, you're right. So then the hardest part about your job is going, okay, I have a clear understanding based off of the questions that I started with you. We're now on the second or third session. And, I've asked you the first day, what are your desires? What are the deep desires within you that, your parents told you you can't do because you're Muslim? What are the things that your family, that your church, that they placed on you, except you probably aren't going to tell them this, right? But as a therapist, your mind should be going, shit, my patient's life, their bullies have put expectations on them. Their parents have placed religious expectations on them that are blocking them from being able to get to their deep down desires. I want to do this with my life. I want this to be my career. I want to be successful at this. But my mom wants me to be X. My mom wants me to be Y. My dad wants me to do this the rest of my life because of A, B, and C. How many parents are guilty of placing your unmet expectations of your life onto your children, and now you're only passing it on with your therapy modality? A lot. So then how do you move on from here, right? Good question. Well, I'm going to turn this around. It may or may not work. Let's talk about this. Behavior model of change. Who's worked with that? If you're a psychologist and you're trying to get somebody to change without using this method, you're fucked. Let me just tell you that. You have no chance in hell. This is what it looks like. And you go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. I'll try and move it over. If you are trying to make effective, lasting change within an individual, whether they be your patient, whether you be in the justice system, right? So a caseworker, mental health workers, you absolutely need to know this. Otherwise, you ain't going nowhere. Pre-contemplation. What does that look like? Hasn't even begun to think of change. It's maybe at best, maybe I should go to the gym. Maybe I should think about losing that weight. Or it could look like my doctor says I need to lose weight. Notice anything? It's your largest section. This is the longest period of change for an individual. This is where they spend the most time. Now, if you've met me, you probably don't know that I know all this. Okay. So at best, it says, my doctor, I need change, right? Maybe, maybe I'll sign up at the gym. You're still on the couch watching the movie at this point. You're still the couch potato here. Let's be honest. That's where you are at the pre-contemplation stage. Okay. So first, you need to know, how do I get from here to here? What makes somebody do that first step, right? Well, we'll get to that. Let's look at contemplation. This is where now somebody has gone from, okay, my doctor says I need to lose some weight. Maybe I should look at going to the gym this week. It would look like in addictions counseling, It might look like, I should maybe go see somebody at the 519 this week. Or Cam H. My mom told me to. Notice anything still here about this? These are all still others and external locus of control they're others' opinions. You still, on the second level, where they spend the second amount of most time, it's not their change that they want. You're still working on someone else's, a third party opinion. Not the patient's. Are you going to go do something like that if it's yours? No, of course not. Because it's not your decision to make the change. It has to be their decision. Through 1, 2, and now into 3, planning. Planning stage. Wow. This is the first time the individual in front of you is making the choice because it's theirs. Think about that for a second. Up till even planning and even action, this is the first time it may actually, I'm gonna put that as an asterisk. This is the first time it might be their decision to make a change that's based off of what they want, the understanding they need to change, the want to change for themselves. If not, do you know the amount of recourse and recoil that you will have from this? It's astronomical. Let me put it this way. What do we know from physics and chemistry? Well, apply this to everything in your life. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Apply that to life. If you're pushing someone through this behavioral model of change without their consent, without them wanting the same change, what is this going to do? Tell me, based off of this, what's going to happen? The more you push, push, eventually, this is going to be the garage door spring. Too tight, or your Achilles tendon. Snap, boom, fireworks. It's not going to go well. You're going to have an explosion in your home, in your workplace, in your church, everywhere you go. If you are pushing others to change based off of your agenda, which is literally the first 3 pieces of the behavioral model of change, you are going to have recoil. If you don't know what an Achilles tendon sounds like when it snaps on somebody, it's like a gunshot. Actually, if you're on like some sort of sports field and you hear it, it's like a gunshot. Or like a garage door spring that, somebody, a technician has been accidentally tightening too far or did tighten too far, and then you hear a big bang in your garage. It's exactly what you're going to have, but it's going to be a mental recourse, and it's going to be worse, not only for yourself, for your family, for your community, but also for society as a whole. You're going to end up with more crime. You're going to end up with people who are pushing back, who bite back. Right? Planning. Planning is the 3rd stage. Well, what does that look like? What does it look like when somebody has entered the planning stage? You know what? I'm going to go to the gym this week. I'm going to call and I'm going to book an appointment. This is the first time, possibly, again, comes with an asterisk of whether this is their desire to change or if it's somebody else's. Do you know what's a good sign that they're wanting the change on their own or might be too scared? Usually, this stage here is where they ask for help and support from peers, loved ones, to go to the appointment with them. To book the appointment, etc. Then, when they're in action here, well, if they have a support system, usually they have a peer attend. This is now their decision. to make change. Number 4 is when it's theirs. Now, during the action, this is where you meet the therapist. This is where you have the action plan, the meds, the advice. This is when they need the most support. This stage right here, the action between planning and action, is when they need the most support. That is where they need you the most. They don't need you between the pre-contemplation to the planning. No. Back the fuck off, Bridget. You're gonna do more damage. For real. You will push your loved one away. They won't want anything to do with you. And it's where you have the most trainers at the gym who are new in their career, who are just sold to sell. And one of the things that actually makes Body and Soul, one of the places that's completely different about it, actually. But more importantly, again, no matter what field you're in, are you applying this? This here, on the other side, this is the most applicable. Well, if you've got a city that's on the loose, if you got drug programs that are on the loose, why? Well, do you think it's because somebody's putting Let's talk about this. The hopes and dreams of others that you're forcing on individuals. Are they warranted? Is it unjustified anger? Are they dealing with not unjustified and not misplaced anger that nobody has listened to as a police officer? I know it seems counterintuitive and intuitive, and you're not necessarily social workers, but if you kind of think this way and apply it, it might just help you in your job, actually make it, because listening to one individual within a community might just give you the edge as a police officer for that person to then say, you know what, I'm standing up for this person because the police actually listened to me and he said he's going to take it back to the station instead of just arresting me. He actually went back and, took this back. That might be the reaction from a community member. So the fact that somehow police here in this province have if we intend, we must make an arrest, you're just making this shit worse. You're blowing it up. You're making the problem worse by having that law. No joke. Because now you're treating the victim as even a further victim. Now you're becoming the abuser on top of the abuse that they have suffered that made them be in front of you in the first place. So no, you're not social workers, but this is what we're dealing with. So now what? It's because in their roles, and police officers, this is not necessarily all your fault. I just want you to know, I'm not trying to shit on you because I'm about to shit on the people whose real problem it is. Because the people who are making that law and that decision for you, because as police officers, you damn well know the law. That's what you go to the academy for. You go to learn the actual laws so that you can recite it off by heart when you make the arrest. Because if you don't, it's an illegal arrest. If you don't cite the section of the criminal code that you are placing a charge under as you are placing the cuffs, it is an illegal arrest. And there will be criminal charges for the officers. That's why they go to the school to learn the law. That's why they have to keep up with the laws. So somebody taking that power away from them and saying you have to make an arrest, and then when they're on the call, they can't even say what they're charging you with because the other person hasn't even told them the actual charge. That is sick. That is disgusting. That is perverted justice. Now that you're putting all of this onto those officers. Fuckholes. They know their jobs better than you do. They're not allowed to do their jobs properly right now, which not only that puts them at a lot of risk legally. So if you're a group of women at home, you've actually put your husband and your families in massive danger. Because what happens when you now at home using an Xbox go, I know the law better than my husband who's on the police force. I'm going to use him to make an arrest to stop this drug war, right? Now you arrest people illegally using his body. They find out who your husband is, and now they target your family because you made him make an illegal arrest at work, and it's not his fault. It's somebody at home who did that. Let's talk about that. Because what you're doing at home is you are putting their families at risk. Not only do they lose their jobs, be discredited on TV, all of this. Now your kids are being targeted at school because their dad is the individual who was responsible for arresting someone illegally. And the person has friends and lawyers' families, friends back home who are lawyers, who deal with international laws, who are doctorate of law. Now, as an idiot at home, you've arrested somebody illegally, and now that individual's targeted family is being sexually trafficked. Their child has now been sexually trafficked because of your actions online. Their child is being bullied at school because you arrested somebody for drug charges that aren't even theirs. And it's your responsibility because that family is damaged. That becomes your responsibility because they're now going after the officer who arrested them illegally, even though the officer had nothing to do with it and knows it was an illegal arrest. And that is the danger that you have put them in every day. You deserve shit, in my opinion. You should probably apologize to every officer because you think you were right at home. And you should do it today. Because they and their families don't deserve this.